So we've had the most important, three important thematic sections. Can you describe for me those three sections? How do you feel? Where's the first theme?
Like this is like an introduction, and then this theme starts.
Yes, okay. So so let's focus on this first theme, which is bar 28. What is this music about?
It's like joyful.
What does con calore mean?
Like warm with. Yeah. Yes.
Can you just play me this directly on your own? Starting directly from this a tempo.
Sorry.
Okay, good. So this is the first theme, right? So con calore is, in this romantic style, I think can mean a little bit more moving. Okay. Moving forward, moving backwards, take a bit more flexible. I won't embarrass you by asking if you've been in love, but it's, I have. And sometimes, oh my goodness.
Okay.
A little bit more, I think, in waves of emotion. It sounds kind of quite sostenuto, which I think in this context maybe doesn't quite fit the character. Okay. Let's see if we can find a more flexible way of doing this. Yeah. Also with the sound. So if that very first B, for example, if this B was like a sausage and we cut it in slices, not any two slices should be the same.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean? A sort of wave rather than a brick.
Okay.
Bar 28.
Can I start with
I'm deliberately making it easier. Okay, but now since you asked, I would like to avoid this breath in bar 31. If we just start directly, because we're going to the G sharp, right? Can you try it once without a breath?
Yes.
Good. Let's do one more time. So it's not this, but that feeling of the B, that it's got a lift to it. Maybe I mean a diminuendo. So that you can use the second bar to go towards the mordant. Yeah? That woo! Great. Have you got a little bit more air to give us a bit more sound on the G sharp? Little bit. Yeah. Maybe that's already moving. The F sharp B at the end of the first bar is already moving into the next bar. Okay. And then just one technical thing, give me more repeated notes. I'm very close and I almost don't hear it.
Okay.
Johanna, this is already too sostenuto. If we start here, sorry for the note. That's too loud. You know the F sharp B at the end of the bar. Okay. Then there's nowhere more to go.
Okay.
is that accent there? Ya da da dee.
Because we're playing to that note.
Yes, maybe. I think the most important one is the first of the bar. Ya da da, ya da da. And I think that the accent is there because if it wasn't there, we would play ya da da dee, and the end of the phrase.
Okay.
Ya da da dee, ya da da. So it's just sort of keeping that bar a little longer in focus, if you like. Last time before we do the introduction. Oh, con calor. Go, go, go. Good. I'm just going to write repeated notes there so that we really hear that. I think if you were playing this in a bigger hall, we would not hear it. Good. Okay. So I think this is the slightly feverish. Maybe that's what he means by con calore, little fever of excitement or something. Okay. And I think that can, with the sound, with the vibrato, maybe with the tempo a little bit, can have that movement that it just feels all a little bit more excited and less steady, if you like. So what happens at the very beginning? Because we have this wonderful poised opening. Could we just have the first two bars? And this note comes in much earlier than we're expecting. We've had the pulse 1, 2, 1, 2, 1.
Okay.
Can this first note be a sort of? Oh, I can't wait to tell you this story.
Okay.
And it's only a little bit of, not more than that.
Okay.
Much better. Yeah, that's got a bit more of a flow to it. Hang on. We'll just do one more time. I like the front of the F sharp now. It's not. If the problem is with the F sharp, if you creep in on it, is it late from the first beat of the bar, maybe, or? Whereas if we go it's a little. Oh, sorry. Too early, but I'm just too excited to tell you. And then use the last two, the C sharp D, take us to the B. We'll try it last time. What's going to happen? Yeah, very nice, very nice. For me, it takes a little too long on the top B.
Okay.
They've got to belong together somehow, and it resolves on the low D. But so don't keep us waiting too long. Yeah. But otherwise, I like that beginning. So it's a little bit less sostenuto, isn't it, than you were playing it? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Then what happens? Next entry. It's dreamy. Oh, did I dream that I started telling the story too early?
Yeah.
Can we just do this? We're going to the second half of the F sharp, right? That's the biggest appoggiatura. There's a misprint in bar 25. This should be a dotted.
Oh.
This is also a misprint, this tied over, which you did in the right place. While we're talking about misprints, anyone who's got the score, bar 54. This trill, we've been trilling C sharp to D natural. if you don't have the music in front of you, I'll show you in a minute, but you can just write in your book, bar 54 should be C sharp to D sharp trill. It's in the piano part, is a D sharp. We have to play this D sharp trill. Let's do this, let's do bar 52.
I don't
Oh, you don't have bar numbers. It's here. Can we do maybe the animato?
Yeah.
Yeah, da 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 da. Just so that people know where it is. Okay. It's a tiny detail, but it has to fit.
Okay.
Can you just play? Because there's the D sharp in the piano. Yeah?
Yeah.
So this has to be a D sharp. But anyway, we were back at the beginning. We were here. So maybe we just do A from letter A. Yes, this is fine. Yes, but your A is too beautiful. Then we think the story is about the A, but the story is about the appoggiatura, F sharp. So you have a beautiful sound, use it, but save something for the most important moments.
Okay.
Yeah? Last time? Nice. Okay, great. There's this crescendo here. Where a crescendo starts, that means that's the softest place.
Yeah.
Softest place. Da, 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 and you do da, 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 da. Sorry for the mic. So save something. It's a danger point for us all.
Okay.
The first note after a breath.
Yeah.
It's a flute player, actually a wind player's thing, that we've just taken a breath, so we have fresh energy, and we give the first note after a breath too much kick. And especially here, because it's the beginning of that crescendo, and remember, we want to try, if we can, avoid this breath.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. Look, I don't mind if you breathe there. In a concert situation, I take all sorts of breaths that I didn't have planned. It happens. But the point is, I hear, when you played it through the first time, that you always breathe there.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you think that's musically the place. It's not a place that a violinist would breathe.
Yeah.
So we want to sometime, in those sort of moments, practice it as if you don't have to breathe. So maybe a bit faster, or start later, like we did, so that you can play that phrase intact. And then, if you have to breathe, then it sounds like you still know that the phrase structure is going to the G sharp.
Yeah.
So stay a little bit longer in this poco calando atmosphere and sound.
Yeah. Okay.
Shall we do directly the poco calando? The F sharp bar? So it's piano. Bring them into your secret world. And then you tell them your passionate love story coming 2 bars later. But first bring them, we're going to whisper. Yeah. It's a difficult space to play softly here.
Yeah.
It's very boomy, but try. Okay. Move more, and so that means maybe I'm just going to write this to remind you. I don't mean a diminuendo. So that's the shape of that first bar. That's where you're losing a lot of air.
Yeah.
And if you need this breath, it's not a crime, you know, I don't put you in handcuffs because you breathe here, but it's important that you share with the listener what the shape of that phrase is.
Okay, can I try one more time?
Of course you can. Great, wonderful. That's getting more fevery. I think this is the meaning of the calore.
Okay.
I think you're daring now to move the sound and move the tempo and so on. At this place, why did I stop you? You did a diminuendo into the third bar of B, which is perfectly legitimate. I agree, it can be very beautiful piano. Be very careful. When you take away something, here we're taking away the dynamic, add something. Okay. Otherwise it sounds like you just run out of energy.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's see, I always say that we've got basically 3 variations in our playing. One is dynamic, that's the first one we learn, vibrato, and color. And here you're taking away the dynamic, so one of the others, maybe more intense color, or maybe in this case, maybe more intense vibrato.
Yeah, okay.
Shall we do directly 2 before B? Poco slentando. It's just a moment of lifting before we go again.
Okay.
Excellent. I love that, increasing the vibrato as you took away the dynamic. That worked really well. Here we have another diminuendo. Here I would add more clarity for this repeated note.
Okay.
Tira, tara, tira. When you're on stage and you whisper, you have to articulate very clearly.
Yeah.
More clearly than when you shout. Okay? So tia, 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 ti. Here, so maybe almost little quasi-baroque clipping the slurs a little bit, just to lift so that we have the definition, even though you're playing softly. Now, because this whole week is about auditions, I would say if this piece is asked for an audition, as it was when I won the Concerto job, I had to play this, and I got the packet, the audition list 3 weeks before, and Reinecke Concerto, I didn't even know Reinecke had written a concerto. I knew the sonata, but I didn't know he'd written a concerto, so I had to learn it very quickly. And this sort of place... Okay. This sort of place for an audition. So we're in bar 47, this could be a wonderful opportunity to show, hey, I can play softly in the high register and loud in the low register. In 2 bars, you're showing really a diversity and your control of the instrument. It's the only time in your life when you're allowed to, you must use the material you have to show what you can do. So I'm sure that if I ask you to play from this F sharp, this arpeggio, with diminuendo, you can do it. Yeah?
Yes.
You, for sure. So show us you can do it, because they are not going to think, oh, well, she played a crescendo, but I'm sure she can do a diminuendo if I ask it. They will not.
Okay.
So use the material to show that you can make, so I would, the opposite there, diminuendo there, and then you have the forte low register, and I've got a loud low register as well. I have complete control of my instrument. Very nice articulation here. Where is a good place? Shall we do directly letter B? Okay. Do you need both those breaths?
No.
I think if you do one of them well, you maybe don't need to do both. Yeah. But it's not clear yet, is it? The 2 before C. I'm going to suggest that you change the rhythm so that you can breathe after the first note. So we have a nice wobble on G sharp. Dim ba da 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 dum. Dim ba da diddle diddle diddle. So we change this to an 8th, 2 16ths, and then the triplets.
Okay.
Can we just try that?
Yeah.
Dim ba da 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 da.
And I breathe after the
after the G sharp.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But a wobble on the G. Woo! Yes, exactly. And I think then we keep the pulse more steady. So then we don't notice so much that the rhythm has changed because the pulse is so strong that we'll know exactly where the next bar has to go. Shall we just do 2 bars before that? 4 before C.
Okay. No, I'm not doing that.
I'm sorry.
4 before C. Don't waste too much air on the low E and the D sharp. This is not the important part of the phrase. Dim ba da ba da ba dim ba da ba da ba dim dim. So keep the interest in the top note. Keep the vibrant sound. You have a wonderful vibrato when you use it, but you don't always use it. 4 before C. Yeah, great. That I think that will be a better way to organize that once you feel comfortable with it. Good. And then we get to the second subject. And what do we have here for extra information?
Espressivo.
And?
Un poco menoso.
And? What does P mean again?
Oh yeah, piano. Yeah, piano.
So maybe that, dynamics, it's not a number of decibels, it's a character of sound. And I think in this context, the first theme we had is this direction. The second subject, I think, is just in this direction. Draw the listener into your world. So I'm not saying it has to be softer, but it has to be less pushed to outside, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Shall we just try 2 bars before that? Okay, your A is beautiful. What is the job of the E?
To be the upbeat to the A.
Yeah, to prepare us. So your A is so beautiful, why your E isn't so beautiful? It's a lovely sound world you have, but now I'm missing something.
To the A first?
Yes. So what is the skeleton of these 2 bars? Something like that. Yeah. sorry for my singing. Look at how it's written. We have a dotted quarter note, we have a quarter note, and then we have an eighth note. And they get more interesting, more, you know, the focus should go to the third.
Yeah.
So we need to be very conscious of how we're using sound, how we're using vibrato and direction, so that we don't get too loud, but we show that the shortest A is the most interesting one.
Okay.
So I think it's more to do with the kind of vibrato that you're using, and maybe not too
More
sostenuto.
vibrato. Okay. Yeah.
So the first two, I'm thinking, there's still note, but I'm closing my mouth. So can we try and do something like that with the flute sound? By drawing them into your world, now you have to give them. Then this is outside. This 40. Yeah. Same material, but now a passionate giving them.
Yeah.
So it's sort of the directions rather than dynamics. Let's say. Good is better. It's better. I still could use a more expressive E upbeat.
Okay.
What about breathing here after the first two bars? You don't need it yet, but
okay.
Maybe that's a moment where you could connect. Shall we try it, if that works? So here, but then breathe here. And then if you need another little one, in bar 80, between the two C's.
Yeah.
It's low in the instruments. Last time.
Because I'm playing always to this note.
Yes, but your flute is playing ding dum bing bum bing. So that's why we put the accents there.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's just you just have to think that the most interesting note happens to be the shortest note. So if we're not careful, the long note dominates and becomes the most interesting one, because we have time to use our best sound and best vibrato. Yum bong. Just play me this on your own. Yeah. So maybe think of this accent as being a kind of wobble.
Okay.
Yum bong, rum bong. Oh, but look. The E is already the melody, the upbeat. We had that at the start. Dim pa dim pam pam.
Okay.
Material. I think it works really well, and I love the little this is really, you know, 100 years ago young ladies of a certain class had lessons in laughing. And this is absolutely a description of this. The only thing I think I could offer to improve this even more, I mean, I really like how you're playing it, but I wonder whether the eighth notes could sometimes have a little bit more life to them. So very fast vibrato. Badalidom, bing, badalidom, bing, bing, bing. That's ever so slightly too straight.
Okay.
And I just think there's enough time to do at least one wobble. Is that V for vib? Yes.
Okay.
You know, so so they're really ping, boom, boom, boom. And it's nice to do that in this space. It's got a, but you have to do it here in this space.
Yeah.
Directly D. Great. I think if I slow down the recording, I don't think I would hear any movement of sound on the eighth note. So it's one of the hardest things to do, to get an energy on a short note. Do you have de la sonorité? You know, the exercise that looks like this one? Yeah. I think it's the third exercise or second. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You know the one I mean. He uses this to practice. Yeah. Good exercise to practice that for. But I also use it for practicing a short vibrato. Okay. Vibrato on short notes. I put the metronome on 60. And first we're going to do with articulation. Da-da-da, da-da-da, with the diminuendo each time. Ya-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Okay. So, on syncopation. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da, ba-da-da. Great, okay, good. Why on syncopation, by the way? Question to the audience. Why on syncopation? It's the same exercise if you do it with the beat.
For the phrase. For the phrase.
For the phrase?
Or for it.
No, maybe, maybe not.
Maybe to feel the pulse more.
I think you can hear the metronome clearer because it's in your rest, and you have to also take responsibility. There's a school of teaching which says you should never use a metronome, it makes you unrhythmic, because then you give all the responsibility to the metronome. But in this way, if you practice on syncopations, then you have the little check, but you have to be very rhythmic. Okay. But this is excellent. So this is step one. Da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Now let's do the same thing, same energy, but with vibrato. Oops. Doesn't matter the notes. Da, 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 da. Excellent, excellent, excellent. The next step looks like in the book. Does anyone have it here, by the way? This is the next step, but I do the other way around, because if you do this, thank you, just so that she's not worried about the note. So he starts then F, G flat. I start the other way around, so I do 3 and then 2. The next step is da 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 da. Very good, very good. Just be ever so slightly careful. It almost sounds like da ha da 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 da.
Oops.
Da ha da da da. I mean, I'm exaggerating, yeah? Da 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 da. Da 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 da. But this idea is right.
Okay.
Next step, copy this with vibrato. Ha 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 ha. Da ha 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 ha. I'll give you the tick. Diminuendo. Great, great. Next step is exercise 2, the other way round. First articulated and then with a vibrato.
Okay.
And what this does is it's useful for short notes like we're doing now with the badalidum, bing, badalidum, bing, badalidum, boom, bing, bing, bing. It gets used to you getting this very lively in a very short space of time.
Okay.
What it also does is it helps you with the beginning of long notes. It's a kind of flute player's disease that every long note starts without any vibrato and then it gets to our best sound after, you know, huh?
After seconds.
Yes, exactly. So then every long note, mwah, mwah. It's a flute player's thing. Actually, violinists do it as well. They find the note and then they use their best sound. And it's good. This is a very good exercise for practicing getting the best sound and the best energy right at the front of the note. Okay? So I would suggest that working like that is one way of getting a nice fast vibrato on a short note. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good. So I'm going to leave that with you.
Okay.
How are we doing time-wise?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. So I think we've got time to get from... Let's go back to A, right at the beginning, and we'll play through to E, where we finished, and see how many characters you can bring to life. We should have 3 very clear characters. So the very fevered, passionate, outward directing first theme, more intimate sound world the second, and then the playful scherzando. He writes con grazia, but I think it's almost in brackets quasi scherzando feeling. Yeah? Let's do A directly. going to have to stop there. But I think your third theme was, anyway, the best one. I think there's big improvements on those two things. I like a lot. Just one little thing, two little things. C sharp to D sharp trill, both, yeah.
I only did that.
Yeah. It's okay. No, it sort of sounds strange. So you enjoy it getting more intense and more colourful. Yeah, so it's not the best trill that we have, so maybe you need to do something with this, the colour of sound, so it sounds bright, a little brighter, but I leave you to find a way of making the sound work there. Yeah. The last little thing to take away while Ivana gets her flute out is to think about how the breath in and the breath out are related to each other. I think your breaths in are too active.
Okay.
And just to, it's a little reminder, I'm sure we'll talk about it later in the week, but that the work goes into creating this resistance so we don't lose all our air immediately, and then when we have the chance to take a breath, it's the relaxation.
Yeah.
And you're sort of doing the opposite.
Oh no. Okay.
So, I think it's just a little reset here. I think you're working too hard on the breath. Okay. So I hear a little bit too loud. It's not terrible, but I think it could be improved a lot. And I think we can all, myself included, get the help of breathing in by listening to the sound of the air coming in. So getting that as low as you can. Trombone and tuba players, they do a lot of work with the breath in going. So it's that feeling of creating the space and then the air will come in.
Okay.
I think your breaths are just a little bit too active.
Okay.
Yeah? But thank you, Johanna. Beautiful way to start the week.